There's a silent killer stalking the dreams of mankind. It doesn't wear a mask. It doesn't knock on your door. It waits quietly. It feeds on your excuses, your distractions, your comfort. It's called average. And if you don't kill it, it will kill you. Not all at once, not in a blaze of glory, but slowly, subtly, like poison in your coffee, one drop at a time. Average kills the light in your eyes. It suffocates your ambition. It tells you to be realistic, to blend in, to play it safe, to shrink your dreams until they fit the size of your fear. And the most dangerous part, it disguises itself as normal because everyone around you is doing it, living in quiet desperation, clocking in, clocking out, scrolling, consuming, distracting, saying, one day I'll start, and never starting. But you were not made for that. You were not designed to live and die inside your comfort zone. You were not born to be a spectator to your own life. There is something in you, and it's been trying to wake you up. The average life wants you silent, wants you numb, wants you too busy keeping up to ever rise up. It wants you addicted to mediocrity, the way some people are addicted to sugar or nicotine, because once you settle for average, it becomes a habit, a pattern, a lifestyle, and patterns, when repeated long enough, become prisons. But listen closely. You don't break out of that prison with good intentions. You break out with fire, with defiance, with a voice inside you that says, I was meant for more, and I will not die in this cage. Edison didn't chase average. Carnegie didn't follow the crowd. Lincoln didn't wait for permission. They refused to kneel before the god of mediocrity. So what's your excuse? Too tired? So were they. Too busy? So were they. No money? They started with less. No support? They built it. You've been taught to worship comfort, but comfort is the deathbed of greatness. No empire was built in the comfort zone. No masterpiece was born from convenience. And yet every morning, millions of people wake up and choose average. They choose it by what they eat, what they think, how they speak, what they tolerate, and who they surround themselves with. You don't need a diagnosis. Your life is the evidence. Look at your results. Look at your energy. Look at the gap between your potential and your reality. That gap is screaming at you, not to shame you, but to awaken you, to shake you, to remind you. You've been playing small in a world that only rewards the bold. Do not be lulled to sleep by a paycheck and a parking space. Do not confuse survival with success. If you're not building your vision, you're helping someone else build theirs. If you're not pushing toward your purpose, you're decaying in distraction. And if you don't rise now, right now, you may never escape the gravity of average, because it gets stronger the longer you stay. The mind becomes addicted to mediocrity if it's not trained otherwise. But here's the truth they never taught you. You can retrain your mind. You can rebuild the internal system that governs your habits, your focus, your beliefs. But you must make a violent decision to do so. You must declare war on every thought, every excuse, every behavior that has kept you small. Average is not your friend. It is the silent enemy of your destiny. It wants your time, your energy, your soul. Kill it before it kills you. You don't stumble into a strong mind. You forge it through discipline, through repetition, through fire. You break the old patterns not by arguing with them, but by overriding them with something stronger, a new internal code. When the voice in your head says, I can't, you answer back, watch me. When it says, you've never done this before, you say, exactly. That's why I must. You learn to speak with power, not to others, but to yourself, because the world will only echo the authority of your own voice. You want to build a mind that wins? Start with how you speak about your life. Stop describing problems and start declaring outcomes. No more, I hope this works out. Say, I will make this work. No more, I'm trying. Say, I'm doing. No more, I don't know how. Say, I'll figure it out. This is not fake it till you make it. This is build it until it bends reality, because every belief you repeat becomes a blueprint. And the mind doesn't know the difference between truth and repetition. It just obeys what you feed it. Most people speak death over their life. They don't even realize it. They reinforce every limitation with casual words. I'm always broke. I can't catch a break. I'm just not that type of person. And so life obeys, not because it's cruel, but because you commanded it to, over and over again until it became law inside you. But laws can be rewritten. Neural pathways can be rebuilt. Patterns can be replaced. You are not stuck. You are conditioned. And conditioning can be broken, but only through repetition that is deliberate, intense, and unapologetically bold. Every day, you must feed your mind with what you want it to believe. You must choose your thoughts like you choose the fuel for a rocket, because weak fuel burns fast. But belief, real, unshakable belief, that launches you past every limit. This is where clarity becomes essential. A mind that wins is not scattered. It is focused. It is built on a single vision, burned into memory, reinforced through action, lived as if it already exists. If your mind doesn't know where you're going, your life will wander. But when your mind knows the mission, everything aligns. Your energy, your time, your decisions, they all begin to orbit around the outcome. Winners don't need to be pushed. They are pulled by vision, pulled so strongly, so magnetically, that excuses dissolve, distractions fade. The old identity breaks down because it can't survive in the presence of the new one you're building. Every minute you spend drifting is a minute you could have spent programming yourself to think like a leader, to move like a builder, to act like a warrior. That's how you build a mind that wins. You program it daily with conviction. You act with discipline, not emotion, and you speak your future into existence with words that carry authority. The world doesn't care who you are. It only responds to how you think. Before you speak, before you act, before you rise or fall, it begins with the mind. The mind is the master key, and most people, they've handed it over to fear, to excuses, to doubt dressed up as logic. They build their life around limits, then wonder why nothing changes. But the ones who win, they start in a different place. They start in silence, in the shadows, not with perfect conditions, but with a choice, a decision to take back control of their most powerful weapon, their thinking. Because everything you want, the wealth, the clarity, the confidence, the impact, it all begins in the mind. And until you master that battlefield, nothing on the outside will change. Not for long. Building a mind that wins is not about having positive thoughts. It's about learning to command your thoughts, to train them like a soldier trains a blade with discipline, precision, and purpose. You don't need to wait until life gets easier. You need to get stronger. You need to take that inner voice that keeps playing on repeat, the one that says, maybe, someday, I don't know, and you need to rewrite it. Burn it if you have to, because that voice is not yours. It was built by a world designed to keep you average. If you were born into fear, into chaos, into poverty, fine. But you do not have to stay there, because the mind is the great equalizer. It does not care where you start. It only reflects what you believe. That is why two people can grow up with the same struggle, the same pain, the same setbacks. One rises, the other repeats. One chooses discipline, the other waits for motivation. One builds a mind that serves them, the other becomes a prisoner to their own thoughts. Henry Ford said it best. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It's not a quote, it's a warning, because the subconscious mind is always listening. Every time you say, I'm tired, it takes note. Every time you say, I'm not good at that, it obeys. Every time you say, that's just how I am, it makes it so. And yet, that same mind, trained and sharpened, can become a force so powerful it bends reality. That's what Carnegie did, what Edison did, what Disney did. They weren't born with genius. They were born with agency, and they chose to use it. They created a mental blueprint that refused to lose. They condition themselves to see possibility where others saw risk. They visualize their victory, not once, but daily, obsessively, relentlessly, until the world caught up. You don't wait for a winning mind to appear. You build it with repetition, with clarity, with daily declarations that don't just inspire you, they become you. You train your thoughts the same way a bodybuilder trains his frame, not once, not when convenient, but constantly. Because the mind, left on autopilot, will drift, it will shrink, it will echo every limiting belief you've ever absorbed unless you replace it with truth. The truth is, you are not your thoughts. You are the one who commands them, but only if you decide to. Everything changes when you stop trying to improve your life from the outside in and start shaping it from the inside out. You don't need a new strategy. You need a new standard. And standards are not set by what you say you want. They're revealed by what you tolerate, what you allow to continue, what you excuse in yourself. Do you wake up when the alarm goes off, or do you snooze it and lie to yourself that 5 more minutes won't hurt? Do you finish what you start, or do you stack half-built bridges that lead nowhere? Do you train your body, your mind, your craft, or do you numb your time with distractions and justify it with "I'm tired"? That's where your future is being built, in those silent decisions no one else sees. That's the battlefield where identity is won or lost. The person you're meant to become, they don't wait for motivation. They are governed by purpose. They move with precision. They speak with clarity. They walk into rooms with presence, not because they're faking it, but because they've earned it. Every late night when you wanted to quit but didn't, that's where character was built. Every early morning when the bed begged you to stay, but you chose mission over mood, that's when you rose. Not just in routine, in identity. Because becoming isn't something that happens in a moment. It's not found in some big opportunity or breakthrough. It's in the grind, the boring, the mundane, the days you wanted to disappear but showed up anyway. You think kings are born in light, they're born in the dark, in silence, in rejection, in failure after failure, when they still chose to keep going. Do not underestimate how powerful you become when you consistently do what others avoid. That's what makes you rare. That's what builds the kind of internal gravity that pulls opportunity toward you. Not because you begged for it, because you became the kind of person who attracts it. You don't chase success. You build a version of yourself so aligned, so undeniable, that success has no choice but to show up. You think Tesla built his empire by waiting for the right mood? He slept in his lab. He worked through illness. He thought in years, not minutes. He didn't just act like a genius. He lived it day in, day out, without apology. You want to become the person you're meant to be? Then stop negotiating with your old self. That version of you, the one who settled, who feared, who avoided hard things, they don't get a vote anymore. You've outgrown them. The mind that got you here won't get you there. The habits that kept you safe won't make you strong. The identity that helped you survive won't help you thrive. So burn the script, rewrite the rules, and stop showing up like you're half committed to your own life. Because the future belongs to the one who acts like they've already claimed it, who walks with the fire of certainty, who makes decisions with conviction, not convenience, who builds without applause, trains without needing validation, creates without asking permission. That's what makes you dangerous. Not your talent, your standards, your consistency, your identity, forged, tested, refined. Every step forward from this moment must say, I already am the person I was born to become. Because once you live from that place, the world has no choice but to respond. You already know who you're supposed to be. You feel it in your gut. Not the version of you that wakes up tired, distracted, and doubtful. Not the version that second guesses, apologizes for dreaming, or waits for someone to give permission. No, deeper than all that, there is a version of you that is clear, powerful, disciplined, unstoppable. And the reason you feel that inner tension, it's because you're not acting like them yet. You're still trying to solve future problems with old patterns, still speaking like the old you, thinking like the version that failed, moving like the version that's waiting. But the future doesn't belong to the one who waits. It belongs to the one who becomes. The world doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you match. Your habits, your words, your energy, they broadcast who you are, not who you wish to be, not who you used to be, who you are right now, in this moment. And if who you are is still thinking small, still hoping instead of building, still wishing instead of working, the world reflects that back, not to punish you, but to wake you up. The game changed the moment you realize this. You don't become successful and then act like that person. You act like that person and then you become successful, not the other way around. That means showing up before you feel ready, speaking with clarity before you have proof, moving with intention before you have results, because belief is a discipline, not a mood. Think of Lincoln. He didn't wait to feel powerful. He spoke words that shaped nations even when his own voice trembled. Carnegie didn't wait to feel worthy of wealth. He moved through steel and smoke with a vision so bold it made kings nervous. Edison didn't wait for perfect conditions. He failed his way forward until the darkness surrendered. What if you stopped negotiating with fear, stopped worshiping your limitations, stopped telling yourself stories that were written by weaker versions of you? What if, starting today, you acted like the person you're meant to become, not pretend, not fake, but fully embody, with discipline, with fire, with absolute command? Because the greatest transformation you'll ever experience is not when your bank account changes. It's when your identity changes. And identity is not found, it's forged through daily decisions, through relentless action, through the refusal to let your circumstances write your destiny. You've waited long enough. You've collected enough quotes. You've watched enough videos, heard enough sermons, journaled enough dreams. Now is the time to become. Not tomorrow, not when you have more clarity, not when you feel more confident. Confidence isn't a prerequisite, it's a byproduct. And it only comes to the one bold enough to act before they feel ready. Every time you take aligned action, you cast a vote for your future self. Every time you show up with discipline, you reinforce the identity you're building. And every time you refuse to settle, the universe takes note. But if you keep acting like the version of you that gave up, if you keep repeating the habits of the version that doubted, if you keep reacting like the version that feared everything, then you stay there. You don't grow into your future, you decay into your past. That's the quiet tragedy of most lives. They had greatness inside them, but they never acted like it. Clarity is the first weapon. You cannot hit a target you cannot see, and yet most people stumble through life with fogged up vision, chasing shadows, following crowds, obeying the script they never wrote. They chase money without a mission. They chase validation without values. And in the end, they lose both. If you want to be part of the 3%, you must become obsessed, not with results, but with direction. Ask yourself, not what do I want today, but what must I build for the next 10 years? What legacy must I carve with my life? Not what job pays the most, but what work awakens me. Because when your vision is clear, decisions become easy. Distractions lose their power. Time becomes a weapon, not a burden. And you move through life with the force of a man or woman on a mission. Henry Ford didn't ask what was possible. He asked what was necessary. Lincoln didn't ask for approval. He asked what was right. Walt Disney was laughed out of multiple studios, fired for lacking imagination, and yet he imagined a world that didn't exist and built it anyway. That's the kind of clarity the 3% live with. Not a clarity based on what's safe, but on what's necessary. Necessary for their purpose, necessary for their calling, necessary for the man or woman they were born to become. But clarity means nothing without action. Ideas are cheap. Everyone has them. Execution is the currency of success. And here's where 97% fail again. They wait for motivation. They wait until they feel ready. They confuse emotion with commitment. They pray for the mood instead of training the muscle. Discipline is not about how you feel. It's about who you decide to be, over and over and over again. When it's boring, when it's hard, when it's lonely, when no one claps, that's the forge where winners are made. Motivation whispers, discipline commands, and that's what separates those who wish from those who win. You think Carnegie felt like getting up? You must understand this world does not reward intention. It rewards execution. It rewards the man who acts, not the man who plans. Average lives in the minds of those who think too long and move too little. It thrives in hesitation. It thrives in delay. You say, tomorrow. Average says, good, rest, scroll, wait. But greatness says now. There is no perfect time. There is no magic moment when you'll feel ready. There is only now. Raw, imperfect, inconvenient now. And if you can move in the now, you're already ahead of 99% of people still waiting for the stars to align. The future doesn't belong to the passive. It belongs to those who decide, who wake up with fire, who look at their lives and say, this isn't enough. I'm not done. I will not go to my grave with my potential still inside me. That kind of hunger, that kind of decision is what separates legends from the forgotten. Think of every great man you admire. They were not born special. They were born stubborn. They were born hungry. They refused to believe the lie that average was good enough. Walt Disney was told he had no imagination. Henry Ford went bankrupt 5 times. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. They were rejected, mocked, laughed at, and still they rose. Why? Because they had a vision, and that vision burned hotter than their fear. What about you? Do you have a vision that sets your soul on fire? Or are you just passing time, hoping success falls into your lap? You cannot coast your way to greatness. There are no shortcuts. There is only the climb, the daily disciplined climb. Average people are afraid of the climb, but winners, they live for it. They understand the law of the universe. You do not get what you wish for. You get what you work for, obsess over, sacrifice for. And if you're not willing to suffer for your dream, don't expect to hold it. The universe will test you. It will ask, how bad do you want it? And you must answer with discipline, with grit, with relentless effort, even when you feel broken. Because average taps out when it's hard. Greatness shows up anyway. It shows up tired. It shows up discouraged. It shows up doubted, mocked, misunderstood, but it shows up. So ask yourself, what are you showing up for? Are you showing up for your growth or your comfort? Are you showing up for your excuses or your evolution? Every day, in every decision, you are casting a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. And if you don't like who you're becoming, change the vote. You are not stuck. You are not weak. You are not broken. You've simply been hypnotized by average. But it's time to wake up, to remember who you are, to kill every limiting belief, every comfort-seeking habit, every voice that tells you to settle. You were not born to blend in. You were born to build something eternal, to create, to impact, to lead, to rise. But that version of you, the one who dominates, who leads, who wins, that version demands a price. It demands sacrifice. It demands that you burn the bridges to who you used to be and never look back. That version is not found in comfort. That version is forged in fire.